Hi, I'm Renita, and I'm sitting here in the warmth of our living room, sitting in front of our wood stove, staying warm. So I thought this would be a good time to make a video for you. And what I decided to talk about was I received this email this morning, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And the name of it was How to Stop Your Left Brain from Thinking. Isn't that a catchy phrase? But anyway, have you ever noticed that when you look at your checking account and it's either getting almost to zero or maybe it's below zero, and it's like all of a sudden your heart stops and it just you start going into panic mode? Or when maybe your child fell off the tricycle and hit his head on the cement sidewalk or something, you stop, and it's almost like you're going to go into panic mode again. So what that is that's your left brain. And he says this is written by Sean, oh dear, I can't think of his name now. Sean. D'Souza, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And I've gotten his emails for a long time, and I just love the way he writes. He makes it real interesting, but yet down to earth. And so anyway, what he says about how your left brain is working. The left brain is the bully brain. Wow, that was interesting. And I thought, well, we'll talk about that later. It doesn't just complicate things with its logic. It goes one step further. It drowns out the free-thinking nature of the right brain. And I thought about that, and as I thought about that, it was like, okay, Empower Network, the company that I'm in, they had their 2014 event for the first one for this year, and I had decided back in October that I was going to go to it. So I bought my tickets and everything. And now that I know that the left brain is the bully brain, I'm understanding now what was going on with me. As time got closer to the event, I kept thinking, why do I go? I'm not making any money yet, so why are you going? Why don't you just stay home and see what you can do? You're just going to be out of place there. And then it goes from that to getting a whole lot worse. And by the time I got to that event, I was really beaten up. And the only way I was beaten up was from my left brain, bullying me, telling me I was no good, I couldn't do this business, I had no business doing this. Look at what you're doing to your bank account. You're taking all this money and you're not replacing it with anything. So what good is this? Why do you keep doing this? And it was just so on and so on and so on. And it just, I just really felt beaten down. Well, the interesting part about this was that, of course, you get to these events and they hype you up and they get you feeling really good about yourself. But what happened, and it wasn't at the event, but it was the last night that I was in Miami, and I was rooming with 3 other gals, and we were all from different parts of the country, and actually one was from Canada. And they asked me to share with them some things that I knew. And here I go again. The left brain says, you know, you don't know anything. There's nothing you can share with anybody. And so I really felt beaten up. But when these gals asked me to share what I knew, it was like, well, okay, I'll just share it. And, you know, we'll start out. And so what I've been doing is I've been doing a lot of access consciousness. And I haven't really, you know, gotten into it deep. I've just been playing on the surface. But what I learned this particular evening was when the gals got home from their little trip on the yacht, they asked, one of the gals asked me if I would do the bars on her. And at another point in time I'll explain the bars, but not during this time. So I did the bars, and we did some talking, and I did some other things for her. And as we, you know, it was already getting rather late, but as we all sat on the beds and visited and started learning more about each other, I felt like I could do a little more for these gals. And so through Access, what I've learned is that you start questioning things. And by asking the questions, you open up an awareness that you don't get if you're just making statements and stuff. So one of the gals was sharing some things, and I said, so who does that belong to? And that, just that little question, who does that belong to, stops and makes you think, oh, is that mine or is that somebody else's? 98% of the time, or 99% of the time, whichever, it's somebody else's. It doesn't belong to you. So then we say, return to sender with consciousness attached. So when in different parts of the conversation, that got to be the question of the evening, was, who does that belong to? Who does that belong to? Yeah, maybe I'm not feeling well. Who does that belong to? Is that really yours? And I was able to explain to them how, you know, we are great receivers. We have these antennas that go up, and just like a transmitter, we can transfer it out, or we can pull it into us. And when we pull it into us, then we start holding on to it and we think it's ours. But when we ask that question, who does it belong to, we find out it's no longer ours. And so then we can release it by saying, return to sender with consciousness attached. What I discovered was, we was up until 4 o'clock or after that night. It was a totally awesome part of the event that was not planned or anything. But here we are. It's Tuesday of the following week. I got home last Tuesday, And I'm still processing. And what this email brought to me was that it's the left brain that is bullying us. It's telling us, we can't do this. Don't touch that, or you're not smart enough for that, or look at what you're doing to your bank account. Whose fault is that there's no money in that? And we're just beating ourselves up. Well, what if that's not ours? What if we don't own that? Maybe that was something from our past, or from years back, or who knows, maybe it was from somebody walking across the street with us, or somebody drove by and we picked up their energy, we picked up their thoughts. So maybe those thoughts don't belong to us. Maybe they're somebody else's. So return to sender with consciousness attached. And find out what happens. Well, I found out what happens. As I was sitting here reading this, and I've kind of noticed it before, but I just never really gave it much of a thought. But this morning as I was reading this, it was like, oh, yeah, it has been totally different. It's like I've been at peace. I haven't had those thoughts. And Dr. Dane here, who is part of Access Consciousness, he says that if you ask that question, who does that belong to? Every 10 seconds for the next 3 days, you'll be a walking, talking meditation. Well, I don't know that I have done that every 10 seconds. That's something kind of hard to do. But just, do it. Who does that belong to? Who does that belong to? Who does that belong to? We have many, many thoughts going through our head all the time. And 98% of them aren't ours. So why do we take them in? So let's return them to sender with consciousness attached and free our mind. And that's the way I'm feeling, is that my mind is not as full of all the garbage that it was before I went to Miami. And so I'm doing a lot more processing. Things are starting to open up, like this email today started bringing things to the surface. And so I just suggest, if you don't do anything else to help yourself, just ask yourself this question. And you can ask this as you're going shopping. I was asking it the next day. I went to bed at 4 or 4:30, whatever time it was, and then I had to get up at 5:30 to catch my plane. And so all through the airports and on both the planes that I was on, when I thought of it, I said, who does that belong to? Who does that belong to? Who does that belong to? And I have said it every day since Monday night. And just, when I think of it, I say, who does that belong to? And I marvel at how, I guess, empty my brain feels right now, and how much happier I am. And I know that it's my time, and it's your time, and we can make things happen in 2014. So ask the question, Who does that belong to? Every 10 seconds. And you'll start being a walking, talking meditation. Bye.